So, hi everyone. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Great. So let's start with today's class. So last time we talked about creating your own character. Yes, it's still the echo. And is the sound good? So last time we talked about creating characters. So let's start with that. So yes, characters. And today I'm going to talk about how to add even more character to your characters and story. And there was a lot of homework, so I want to show that and then explain a bit more. And after that, we can do some Q&A. So I wanted to talk a bit about if you have a character and how you can improve that for example, for your portfolio. So these are actually some older drawings I did before, and some ones I like more than others. And let's say these characters, it's a character lineup is really great to have in your portfolio because then you show you can work on a project. So here, these characters are all you could see. Oh, this is a family or something. But I think that can be way stronger, and I want to talk about that in this class because that's so important. Besides the technique, you also want to show that you know a bit about creating character and story to your characters. So you're like these characters; they are all standing like this. And these ones are a bit more interesting. So I think if you're making a portfolio with character design, you want to make them so that they're a bit more interesting. So here you can see um, these characters. So at first I had this. You saw this girl I made, and then the girl was yawning. But then I wanted to create some portfolio projects with a bit more story in them. So that's why I added the elephant, and it was also a children book story I had in mind. And this works well because you have two characters, and then you have action and reaction. So that tells a bit more about the character and stuff. So that's more interesting to see because often when you show your portfolio, they can ask, "Oh, what's this person's name or what's the character and stuff like that." So it's important to show that a bit. And so that's when I started trying it out here. So uh, to add a bit more story into it. Here, this is an lineup I also made some time ago, I think a year ago something. And the fun thing is that yeah, you can see it's a fishing village. But a time ago, I took it to a place where you could show your portfolio to professionals, and then they can give feedback. And I got nice feedback on this character lineup, but um, what a thing was what I got home with and to improve it was to get more interaction between them. So if you're making a lineup, uh, I think this is okay. This guy is heroic and looking at you, but maybe we have this bear and this thief. So maybe you can interact those two, so that this bear is maybe running behind that crocodile. So maybe he is running behind the crocodile. And then you can still make a lineup, but then you can add a bit more story to it. And then you can make this one running as well. You can almost keep him the same. Maybe you can show a bit of his feet and some money that is getting out of the bag and stuff like that. And maybe you can add some more. Maybe we can. I think it's funny that this hamster is a hunter, but you could actually improve it by maybe making a dead rug on it or something to add a bit more story. It's a dead tiger. Or maybe we have this guy here walking, but why is he walking and what's happening? And there's not really any story. So maybe what I could have done is he's cleaning the floor. So maybe add a board with caution, wet floor or something like that. And that he's looking. Oh no! Watch out for the floor. So maybe add that, and this one is maybe yeah. It's funny that he's looking the other way. Maybe he's looking at that character, and then but just give them a bit more interaction. Like these two characters, you can also have that this character is giving a letter to this character, and I think that's really important to give it more story and also the action and reaction in your characters. So here as well. So maybe yeah, here as well. There's stuff happening, but maybe they can react a bit more on it. Maybe it would have been more funnier if uh, this one this character was building something with that hammer. They are building some thing, and you see him hitting on that plank or something, and that this character is getting his tools. You say, "Oh, I have your hammer here," or something. It can be quite easy. But if you have that more in your portfolio, it's way more interesting to see. So I think it's really good to add um, drawings like this in your portfolio that tell a bit more story and character. So let's just start with the homework and then think about those things and also talk a bit about the character. But also let's look at how we can make it stronger story wise. So here we have this astronaut, and so it's Kelly. Hey Kelly. Um, so name is Pam, 32 years old, Asian, astronaut, engineer, strong but anxious. Okay, and then here we have Max, young, annoyed, explorer, impatient, sarcastic, unhelpful. So maybe what could we do? So yeah, this if you see this character, you won't think the character is anxious. I think you can see he's strong because of his physics shape. He has this heroic shape. So I think that's really good. This, but um, maybe this expression is that he's a bit more anxious or something. So maybe you could add, if you would make a pose for a portfolio, maybe we can make something that it's more like this, that he's looking at his back, like this. Oh, here at that action line, I'm going through, and maybe he was spacewalking or something, so he's floating, or maybe he was just standing here. Also think about the ground in perspective. So let's cut this loose. So maybe he's holding maybe this hand like this, and maybe he's holding a rock or something. And he's looking at his back. There's something happening. And you can even make this stronger by adding something. So maybe there's can be everything, and I'm just making this up now. So maybe there's a comet, or maybe notice that its air tube is broken or something. So then you have some. Then is this the action? And then this is the reaction. So it's great if you, so the next homework assignment will be that you create some poses of your character. And then it's really good to show a bit of that story you were creating. So if you wrote down anxious, put that in the character, or put that down in the pose. And so sarcastic. Here, this is a cool character, but how could we make her look more sarcastic? Maybe let's look on Google. So, sarcastic expression. And you get these really weird ones. Maybe something like this. I don't know. Let's try to come up with something of our own. So maybe she's looking like, and it's good to do a bit more research about it. So maybe she's a bit looking like this. Maybe she's standing. That hand there, that is nice because that's sarcastic. Maybe the other hand is like this. So like she's saying, what in the sake are you doing? So something like this. And I'm also wondering, is she not wearing any spacesuit? Shouldn't she be wearing a big thing here like this, those gloves, and this? So if she's an explorer, then also maybe add those things. So maybe we can put those two together. Maybe we can just take this character, put it here. And maybe this pose is a bit static. Maybe we can come up with a pose that is more like that. So maybe she's touching her head like this, or push that pose a bit. I don't know. Maybe she's doing something else or something. But then it's good to think of a bit more story, so you can draw these poses more. So let's go to the next one, Claudia, and so there's a lot of story, so that's great. Appearance, bright-eyed, classical, and I think all these details can really help you with your character. So let's see. Yeah, great research. Also, that's really great. And also cool that you did some different head designs. I think you could have tried maybe a bit more. Maybe you could have tried a bit more different heads. Let's look at it. So let's pick these heads. So, and let me know if you did any of the homework and you're in the class. So think of the construction also a bit. So if you're making an expression like this, so here, and then you think how this mouth is on this head. So if she's smiling, it should be something like this. And her mouth is that. So think about how that mouth is going around that head. So she's laughing out loud. So I think that the mouth would be a bit more like this. Because here you have the cheek that goes like, let's draw over it. Let's make it a bit bigger. Let me turn off this window. So let's give it color. So here we have the cheek. It goes like this. Then we have the mouth. So try to think in a bit of 3D. And then you can add the mouth like this. If you want a big mouth like this. So maybe this is a bit too slapstick. And the eyes. So you have these cheeks are pushed before the eyes. Then we have it like this. So, and then you can think of the eyebrows as well. So this is a ball. Like this here. And think of the eyebrows are on top of that like this. We put the ear here. So here. Then we can put the hair on top of it. So that, and also think of the neck, you've drawn it like this. So the neck will be probably a bit more, placements a bit more like this. And maybe eyes. Let's look at the eyes. That's always, if you have this much white space around the eyes, they can be a bit, look a bit like too, yeah, too extreme, extreme. Here you have these bigger pupils and they're touching the side of the eyes. So that gives a better, here for example, let me show. So if you draw an eye like this, then it's really like, oh, watch out. But if you then draw an eye like this, it feels a bit more relaxed, so that you cut off one side. So that helps a bit more, making it less extreme. So here she doesn't look really female. So we can also make that mouth a bit smaller. Something like this. And then also, I think that would look a bit better than that head. So these two are also these two are really nice. I like that you tried to make this head looking up. So if you take this head here like this, and then here let her look up. So but then it also, you see how I'm constructing. So I start with the ball and then add these lines. So that helps. And I'm thinking about those shapes going around it. And here I think these, for these eyebrows, it's really good to try to think of this mask a bit when you're drawing. So you draw, so that can help with the placement of the eyebrows. So then you can, and also with the hair. So here we have the skull, and the hair is coming out of it. So like this. Then we have the ear, like this, and then the neck, like this. So great. Let's take a look at a bit of the story. Royal youngster waiting to be aged to have taken father's throne. Yeah, so it's really a princess. And so maybe for the next homework lesson, think a bit about what kind of poses would fit her. um, what kind of princess or character is she? So maybe you can, yeah, what I did with the young girl. I have it here. So if I was to make something for my portfolio, oh, I didn't copy it. Um, this. So if I was making something from portfolio with of this girl, then this pose would be really cool. But maybe how would she look if she's sneaking out of her room or something, or maybe she has a pet animal and she's petting that. What are her hobbies? Um, and does he like being an god? And does he like being the future queen? And how can you show that? And yeah, I think, and also this really uh, yeah, this really showed what you tried to make. So that's great. I would love to see some more poses that tell a bit more about her character in the next homework lesson. So then it's the next one is Thomas. And let me know if you're here in the chat. So oh, there's something going wrong with the link here. Oh yeah, there I am again. Oh oh sorry, Claudia, I didn't saw your message. There was something wrong with the chat. Did you have any question or something, or do you think? Um, and is it clear what you can do next, for example, or so let me know. Hey, Thomas. Oh, awesome that you're here. So you created a character, Foxy and Fixie. Teenagers, they live in the forest under a big tree. Curious, elegant, easy open. So yeah, that's really cool. So try out. Are two different characters, Thomas? And let's see what can we talk about. Also like this one. So let's look at this character. Let's take this. In a later video, we're going to talk about coloring, so I'm not going to focus on that too much now. Let's see. Yeah, I will be making a brush pack later, but to be honest, I don't use that many brushes. It's but often I use this standard Photoshop brush. It also makes it really easy because then you can just easily start working on it. So thank you, Abu. So let's look at this character. So he's curious, but it's not really. This pose, you can in this pose we really show that he's elegant, and I'm trying to get the. Oh, it's a boy and a girl, and is there a difference between the two characters? Is the one elegant and the other is really curious or something? Or maybe you can play around with that. So maybe the girl is really elegant. So here she's licking her her leg, something like that. I think you already did a great job uh, in drawing the construction of the character. Let me make this tail. So, but what I think, or maybe it's your uh, maybe it's your style, but I think you can try to get a bit more of the construction. What I'm drawing now. Uh, does this help? Seeing me draw like this? So starting with this ball, and then look how the eyes are on top of that, like this. Maybe he's looking at her paw like this. Yeah, Yasmin, I will talk about that later. Maybe if there's a character where I can really tell a bit more about that. But I think with this character, what's really interesting is to get more of the to get the construction a bit right. So so we have this action line, and you see I try to follow this line, and I just sketch a bit like that, and then I try to get some flow into the pose. You see the phone with the bigger brush for something. Oh yeah, and to see the change because of the female and the male. So maybe if he like this one, then the female. Maybe you can give her a bit more thicker eyelashes, or maybe. Oh yeah, I also I like this expression. So maybe maybe think of also this tail is think of this tail also as 3D, and then so what I mean with that is it's like this, right? It's a round shape. So also the tail thing is also going around it. And let's look at the other character. So I guess this is the one of the character, and then this one looks as the boy. Maybe we can make so a brother and a sister. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a lot of practice. For example, we can see it in this character. So what's also funny is what also helps if you take the head and twist it. Also makes your character often a bit more dynamic. So first these two. So maybe they're more like so. This character is so we have this one, and she's really how did you call it elegant. So this character is really elegant. And then we have the other character, and this one is really curious, I think. Let's make him curious. So I think that's fun. So then that's why he's looking that way. And maybe if he's curious, maybe he looks like, hey, what's happening there or something. So something like that. But let's start. I think what you're saying about the construction, that's hard. So let's put this one on the side and let's draw him again. So first draw an action line, something like this. And make it a bit less in opacity. And then we can start drawing the head. So start with circle. And it's okay if it's now messy. So, and then add a line. So what I do is I often start to draw in circles like this, in cylinders like this, or in cubes. So let's start with this. And draw that. So what I now draw is I have this ball and then I draw this shape on it. And I think this shape in 3D. So nowadays I don't always draw it, but I think of it. So, but if you're starting out with drawing or you have a bit of difficulty um, with drawing 3D, it's really good to do. So if you want to train a bit more construction, I would advise the Preston Blair book. So that's this book. It's an old book, so it's actually you can actually download the PDF completely legal, and there you can do these practices. So just look at these drawings and then copy it, and then look how it's made. So this is also how I learned to draw. So let's. Is there a good one to start with? So let's take this one. Actually, better. Let's take this one. So from this book, I learned to draw. So if you put do, it's here. Try to draw this character. In these steps, they tell you. So then draw. Then you have this ball. Then you have this spear. And then you make the smaller shapes. And then you draw the details on it. And so you have this head, and you draw this eye on top of it. But think how that eye is on this shape, so that eye goes a bit with the shape. You get what I mean? So the book is called Preston Blair. So if you look for Preston Blair, you can find it. I think if you look for the PDF, you will find it too. And this cartoon animation by Preston Blair. This is the thick version. Yeah, the artistic, I think you can see the action line as a guide. So for example, this leg isn't following the action line, but this one sort of is. So it's a feeling you need to develop. So, but this also really important. You can see how he draws around it, and he thinks in 3D. So here it goes around and here. So actually getting this book and then draw to this, it's not illegal to get the book because the book is from 1930, so all the rights are already gone. But you can also take you can also watch a cartoon on YouTube and then draw then start drawing. Oh, here we can talk a bit about the ears. It's also great to start drawing your own characters in these shapes. And the danger is if you do it, if you draw it in these shapes a bit too much, it can get a bit stiff. But you're learning one thing at a time, so that's no real problem. So then here, for example, with this breast, think of one shape. Then he has his lower body, something like this. And then we can attach these legs. Also, what maybe can help is to here you see what I'm doing here. I'm making a grid a bit in 3D. And then I'm drawing over, and then you know how you can draw the legs on it, and it also gives this depth. Someone asked, I think just now, someone asked about drawing the character in perspective. I don't know exactly how the legs. I'm now doing it out of my head, but normally I would look it up. And you can, yeah. I think this body is a bit strange. But it's good to look up some reference, some photos. Maybe it's still a bit loose. So, and if you're going to make some Preston Blair studies, you can. It will be really cool if you post them in the Discord channel, so people can help each other out and inspire each other a bit. So then but so maybe for next week you can maybe try them both, draw them both together, and maybe you can try to come up with a bit of story. Who is he, and maybe she's looking at him like, what is he up to now again, or something. And then we have this character maybe looking. Maybe that's his tone. He's more playful or something. So maybe for next week you can try to come with poses that have a bit more story in them and character, their personalities. So think a bit about who are they and what's the contrast between those two. And yeah, work and that construction. So keep practicing that, and also, yeah, if you draw here these legs, then maybe you can try to. I think it would already help a lot if you would draw these legs like a bit more like this. Then, so it's a bit more 3D. Also here with this one. So that. So, but great work, Thomas. Keep it up. So let's look at Sarah. Is Sarah online? Tiberius Eagle Eye, age 40, patient. Cool. That's really great that you made some that big story. And let's see. Yeah, the Lumens book is also totally fine to download because those are so old. There are no copyrights to it anymore. They're still one of the best. I think when I look at this character, it looks like it falls over, um, like it's tumbling forward. So if you're making a line through it, you can see it's going a bit to the right. I don't know for sure, Josh, if it's okay. So, but I think everybody could find it out. So here, if this character is looking standing like this, and then it feels like it's falling over. So if we tweak it a bit to the right, it feels a bit more stable. So how was it first? First it was like this. So sometimes it's good to think of where's the weight point in the character. And that's here. So then you can draw a line, and then it feels this character is a bit standing too much in the front. So, and if you look at this character, you're seeing the shoulders are a bit back. So maybe you can add a bit more. Uh, Also here, unless it's the style, I think you could add a bit more. Uh, Make it more stable. Something like this. And also here, if these legs are a bit more outwards, it feels also a bit more heroic. They're also doing it there. So, and then we have these arms. So maybe make this arm of this hand like this. So he's making a fist. So this also, and I think he's waving or something. Or is there maybe something of a I don't know if you had that in mind, but maybe he's you have this big um, maybe he's walking around with an X or something. Something like this. So, and then we can also put this. So if you're, it's too bad that I don't show my camera here, but if you're standing straight up, you pull your head a bit backwards. So maybe you can put this head a bit, this giant chin. When I don't know what to draw, yeah, I could show some things for that soon. Most of the time, I just start drawing something, or it's not really good. But what I want to show is that you two things. Think of the weight. So he's falling over. So maybe you could maybe you can put his leg on something like this, on I don't know, maybe a big rock or something. And for story-wise, maybe if he's a warrior, he has some weapon or something, and maybe he has his hand like this. And the other thing is, think of that construction. So think of these, how his body is drawn. So try to think in those. Try to think in those. And in a later lesson, I will talk a bit more about anatomy. So, but draw in these shapes. So sphere, a cylinder, and what can we and a cube. So try to use these three shapes to build your character, and um, don't focus too much on the details. The details save the details for last. So let's look further. So Jenny, hi Jenny. Oh, I saw this one on Instagram. So really great. Name is Jack, 1920s, paperboy, joyful, optimistic. So these sketches are cool. So this one is, I actually think this one is joyful. This one looks like a totally different character. So let's take this sketch. And then this sketch. So I think we can give this character a bit more energy, and it will help create a bit more character. So maybe just to speed things up a bit. On top of it, maybe he's yelling, extra, extra, or maybe he's looking that way. He's looking up because he's small still, and then maybe add some action line. He's pulling his hand up like he's waving to the maybe customer, like hey, hey, and then you have this arm here like this. So maybe, and then it still goes like this or something. I wanted to. I don't know. Is this? He's standing on his toes or something, or how would you stand if you're? So I try to think of how I would stand there. Oh yeah, maybe it's like it's slightly bent, and this leg is stretched like this. Then let's also stretch this arm. So then he's saying, hey, buy my newspaper. Something. So, but it's a great character. I think you would also see a bit of this other ear. Maybe we can make his head a bit smaller. But I try to get a bit more energy in it, and then you can have that joyful Oh, same here, man. You're almost doing it here. Like maybe he's doing it like here. So maybe he's also here holding those newspapers like this. And then he's doing something like this. And then maybe he's, yeah, yeah, and then let him look. At, maybe he's small, so he's always looking up or something. So if you try to push your character a bit more, look at old Disney model sheets and stuff like that for how you can do it. But those are great. Um, it's also fun if he maybe you can. So you now made this character. Maybe that he's maybe in one post he's selling newspapers. It would also be cool for your portfolio to show um, how how does he what are his hobbies? Does he have a little sister that he takes care of or something? Or uh, yeah, so maybe for next week you can maybe you can add a little sister that he's taking care of or something else, or make some more poses where he's maybe doing something different. But great work. So Anna, that's cool. So name is Marie, age is 5, cute and a bit nerdy. Uh, oh, Jenny. Oh, that was your drawing. Oh, yeah. There's absolutely something to work on. Yeah, and Jenny. So for next week, maybe it's fun um, if you just try to push it more, go crazy, and oh, here you also here. Try to look at these kind of poses or something and how they are pushed. So yeah, it would be awesome to for next week if you make a couple of those kind of poses and try to sort. So these are really good to look at. These are really dynamic. So thank you for your homework. It's awesome. So don't be discouraged by the feedback. Learning to draw takes a lot of time. So let's look at the different one. So Marie, age 5, cute and a little bit nerdy, scientist to be, curious and creative. Okay, so let's look at some. Oh, you're Anna. Hi, Anna. Nice that you're in class. So, um, do you want to go for a bit of the stylized style, like Dexter or something, or do you? So then we can look at it. So let's take this character. So you've chosen this one. So let's look. So when you're drawing a head, draw the whole shape, maybe like this. And then even if you're going for a flat style, you can still do these kind of things. Make that nose maybe like this a bit. Then how would we draw those eyes? Yeah, I think if you're going for a more flat style, you can also maybe do it a bit like this. And then Get those glasses, maybe stick them here a bit out so you have some depth. And then we have this mouth. And what I like is that here it's all, here she has a bit of space here. So maybe, and then think of where is the hair. So if you then add the hair on top of it, so it's, if you're drawing a skull, if you're drawing a head, and then you have the you call this the hairline, goes like this. So this is your hairline, and your hair goes out like this, like all these hairs. So there's also always some space between your skull and your hairline. So you get these shapes like a small shape, a big shape, a medium shape, and those different. Make this head big. Draw this ear. Maybe draw this. Maybe indeed that mouth a bit bigger. Maybe her eyebrows up. Maybe she needs a bit of space for the eyebrows there, so you can still see her eyebrows there. And let's look at the pose. So maybe she's also doing. So it's almost the same pose as the last one. So her head is in front of that. And maybe she's jumping out of joy or something. So maybe something like this. Maybe the other hand. So maybe she's holding this one then like this. And her lab coat goes a bit like this or something. So I think you can still make it stylized. Important is that you draw these shapes first. For example, here, then think of that head. What is the shape of the head, even if it's stylized? And then also her body. So you think a bit in those shapes. And then I made her jump, but I don't know if you want it. But I think that gives it a bit more energy and life. So that's really well, and you can see that same here. So it's really good. Even if it's stylized, you can draw these shapes like this here. Then the mouth. And the hair is a bit on top, like this. So now we're going for stylized shape. And then let's think about how the hairline goes. I think a bit like this, something. Or maybe it goes over their how would you call it, the pony? How do you, of that hair piece. But it's good to draw those shapes. Also here. Feels like this should be a bit more back. Maybe this tail also is a bit better if it's here. Maybe just cheek. You can maybe here fill this cheek a bit more out. Is that a bit clear, Anna? Does that help a bit? So draw those shapes first, and then draw on top of it. Great. And what would be cool for next week is so here she's happy. She found a new secret formula, and maybe you can make one um, where she's looking through the microscope or something, and then she's writing something down, or maybe she's maybe something explodes or something, or she's running away from a monster she created or something. I don't know. I'm just talking. So, but maybe it will be funny to hear a big monster. That's really so. Maybe it's cool if you draw some more situations with your character. So cool, nice work. I also really like that stylized style. It's great to see. So Illustrami, I think correctly. So cool. Yeah, these are nice. Let me read it. People in the city. Okay, cool. Good but lonely. So she's a bit sad. Um, so maybe for hey, Illustrami, oh, Sonia. So if she's sad, if you want to go for a real sad pose, you could do her something like this or something. If you want to draw her really sad, I don't know. Or maybe you could do that a bit different. Let's look at these heads. Maybe if I look at this, let's look at this. Draw this head shape. And here we have the eye, so I think that's nice, but I think let's draw it first like this. Then I can look a bit at it. So think of the construction. It feels that there is something that is not really correct. So maybe it's that fill out the cheek a bit more. It's also depending a bit on the style you want to do. Maybe the hairline. And I also think from here's your skull going. So I think there's some should be a bit more thickness of the hair. So because these have a head with a lot of hair, so it would be logical if that sticks out a bit more than you've drawn. So let me see, has these things on my eyelash, and then her neck. Maybe you could draw her hair is going behind her ear. And then it seems a bit, is this her line of her neck or is that the hair that is coming through? I'm thinking a bit how we can, maybe we could something like this with the hair. I don't know. There is something that would make a bit different. Maybe there's hair that goes like a bit like this or something. And let it come more out of behind her ear or something. So people can't mistaken that and ask themselves, is that from behind the neck or the ear? So it's cool. I think for some reason I think these could pull out those cheeks a bit more or something. I think a bit lower looks a bit would look a bit more natural. But yeah, great job on that one. So also pose. Oh, and I think if I look at this, first thing I notice is that maybe these are the same. Right? Maybe if you put this leg a bit lower like this, you get a bit more depth in it. So then maybe you can make this feet a bit like this, standing on the ground, and then here. So that's also a bit more. Yeah, I think that would help a lot. And also, and it's also more for the next week. Um, this pose, but um, here she's kindness, good but lonely. Um, maybe if she's lonely, maybe you can try to find a pose where she's looking more lonely. Maybe she's holding her arm like this or something, or maybe maybe their legs are more closed, and she's yeah. Then she's looked more bored or something. Maybe if she would look a bit down. I think this would look a bit more lonely. And I'm doing it because you wrote down yourself good but lonely. And if that's your character, then maybe you should show that a bit more. So that if you ask at people, what kind of character is she, then here I would say she's a tough girl. And so, and I don't think you don't want it because you wrote down kindness, good but lonely. So then maybe something like this would work a bit better, or maybe something else. But A good test is that if you make a drawing and then show it to someone and then ask what kind of character do you think it is, and then if you could, then you yeah, you will notice that if you're on the right track or not. um, good, great work, Sonia. I hope to see some poses and see development of the character next week. Thank you. So let's look at Anders. Leo, 7 years old, loves space, wants to be an astronaut, and build his own rocket. So cool. Also some heads and yeah, nice, nice, nice. Let's see. So it's cool that you tried to draw the construction. So let me draw this head one. And so like this. And then go around. So you see, I'm drawing these 3D shapes again, and I'm coming back and I'm again and again at it. So here, let's add this cheek, then this ear, then this nose, and oh, now I'm maybe going a bit too fast. But here we have this jaw. So you could actually see it as so here this is a ball, and we have this shape on top of it. That actually goes a bit like this. And this is then this part. So these parts combined give you this shape. And then we can put this nose on top of it. He has this big nose here. It also follows that shape. And we can draw those eyes on top of that ball. Here as well. The pupils. So then you can add the mouth. So he's laughing. Then you have your cheeks that are being pushed up. So maybe if he has it here as well. So and he's smiling with his teeth. And then we have the, maybe I draw the shape. And don't forget the ear. And then the neck is coming out of the head. Then you can add the hair on top of that shape. So it's cool that you tried a triangle shape. So then you go a bit more stylized. So it's a bit like this. Let's look at this one. So maybe he's jumping. Maybe he's really smiling. And then let him look. So started to draw on the details, but that's not really good. Maybe start it. How would I draw this pose? You could also actually try to draw this character like this. He doesn't have neck. Let's stick to your design. Here's his arms, and then he's holding this space shuttle. And you try to. I'm a bit asking myself, do you want to go for a real 3D style, like you've shown here a bit, or do you want to go for a more 2D style, a real flat style? So, but let's go for a more 3D style. So draw a bit of those shapes. So here I'm thinking of shapes like this. And here this leg as well. Here this is a tube, and then we can add a ball here, and then we can this leg like this. So and then like this, and then also this leg here, here, and maybe if he's jumping. So now it looks almost like he's on his knees. Could be. So maybe if you, then you can add some shadow. I think on his knees is actually fine. Maybe he's looking at this spaceship here. And what you did really good is that you, this is almost by gravity, this is hanging down. So it's going like this. And then I think this arm is going a bit weird. So maybe do it a bit backwards like this. And then do it something like this. So you have this feeling that goes like this. And we can let and hold this spaceship. And this shape. But what I would advise you is to make a decision if you want to go for the 3D or 2D style. And if you want to go for that 3D style, for example, look at the Preston Blair book or practice drawing in those 3D shapes. I think it was most fun if he his arm up like this. So you have this energy like that. And also think keep in mind of the proportions. Also, maybe if he's a young child, his limbs are a bit too long. So you would maybe look a bit younger if you make those a bit shorter. Then you would look more like a child, I think. Something like this. But that will be hard because his head is this big. So maybe pull that head even more backwards. But it would be great to see more poses of this and think a bit more in those. Try to draw the character in 3D shapes a bit. So think a bit in those. in tubes and boxes and that. I hope that's a bit clear. But thanks, Anders. Keep it up. So, Seth. Hi, Seth. Are you here? Cool shapes. Correct. Staff role, detective, family protector. Yeah, great. I, I really love that you use those different shape language. Someone asked about those using shapes in your designs. So this is really great. I liked that you used here a box, and then a big box for his body, and then this triangle for his legs, and these big. Yeah, this is exactly how I meant it. Um, what could we add more? Yeah, I think this is great. I loved how you first did it a bit more realistic, and then simplified it more. So maybe you could even simplify that even more. And um, it looks a bit, if it's the style, but if it's supposed to be a bit of a 3D-ish shape, I do see some construction shapes. Hey, Seth, did you want to go for a stylized style or a bit more, or should there be a bit of construction in it? I think these are great. And then, but for some reason, I also like that this mustache has an angle. So maybe put this. So then we have the side of the head. Maybe make this ear. So let me think a bit. So think a bit about how it's constructed. Yeah, and I think even if it's stylized, maybe you could try to think a bit more about the construction or something. It doesn't have to be super rounded or something, but maybe that this looks a bit more solid. It can also be a bit of the style. That's for you to decide. So need to work more 3D. Yeah, and do you want that? But I think you still can do that stylized in a bit more constructed shape. So then that you think a bit more of, oh, here's the side of the head. So this going like that, and then we have the front of the head, a bit like this. You're doing that here. This part's really good. Maybe then this part needs to be more, a bit more space. Um, yeah, here maybe you can make this. Yeah, Of course, a bit. Yeah, I'm now just thinking a bit. And maybe here's a bit too much detail. I think maybe you can simplify that a bit because I don't see that level of detail anywhere else. Maybe you could simply. I think you can just simplify it a bit like this. It's also that's a style choice, so that's up to you. But I think it fits a bit more if you make that a bit easier. And also where you put a lot of details, uh, that's maybe fun to show with this. So uh, you know I think that's something like this. So that is the golden ratio. You want to have here the most detail because you want, if you look at it, you want first that this catches the eye. And then, so here you can put the most details, and then here, and then the rest. So most detailed, because you want the people to look first at the eyes, and then second, and then third. Also, these two are maybe a bit too parallel, so maybe you can try to pull them out a bit like this. Then it's really small stuff. Yeah, it's nice. Maybe I was thinking maybe you can push this arm even more. That it maybe it would be funny if he wears this wearing this shirt that is wrapped or something, and then you can maybe make this even bigger. He's, maybe you did that intentionally, but maybe you could make this arm even bigger. Something like that. I don't know. Make it more insane. And yeah, cool. Really nice. I don't have to say too much about it. I think you're doing really great. So it would be awesome to see this character. How is he working behind the computer or something? I struggled a bit making the expression. He's meant to be squinting all the time. Did that work? Uh, yeah, maybe you can push that a bit more. Let's take this one. And add a bit. Maybe you can push that a bit more, like this. Then he looks a bit more angry. I don't know. But yeah, then how aggressive do you want him to be? Maybe you can push his mustache a bit in these shapes. It looks. I don't think I nailed it, but he looks a bit too relaxed or something. It looks almost like he's sleeping. So maybe. Um, Maybe it's cool to also make some other expressions. That is, how is he yelling? How is he smiling? How does he look when he's in love? Something. So yeah, I think Yeah, I'm really curious about how if you make different expressions in different poses with this character. Nice work. So thanks, Ed. Yeah, I didn't had too much feedback for you, but maybe yeah, just I think you can just keep it up. So thanks, man. So let's turn all these off and look at this character. And a Laurie, cheerful and healthy, warm and loving, supermom, great cook, big heart but wise. Yeah, great. Also, this photo, it's a lot of personality. Mm, big heart but wise. Yeah, it's all maybe good to ask yourself, what is this character? Is this character a mom of your lead character? Is this for a movie or for a TV show? Or have in mind where are you making it for? Um, making it for. So when someone from the industry told me that if you're making a portfolio project, maybe you can make it like think what is your dream job? Do you want to work for movies? So if you want to work for movies, start creating your own characters for your movie. So if this is a character for a TV show, is this the lead character? And what kind of stories would you see with her or anything? So you can give a bit more personality. I'm almost thinking that it's the mother of the lead character. So because yeah, she's cheerful and healthy, warm and loving. So she's a great cook. So if she's a great cook, maybe you can make her. If you're just making a standard pose like this one, then maybe she's made. She's standing here with a big oven plate or something, something like that. And she's talking to her son. Maybe her son is here or something. Yeah, why do you want to make this character, and what is the role of her in the thing? And I see all these different styles. So these two are really different, and they're both are cool. But yeah, where do you want to go to, and um, where are you making it for? So if I knew if you wanted to make a new Pixar movie, then I would say, oh, this character is the best. But if you want to make a show for Cartoon Network, then this one would be great. So maybe it's good to ask yourself, uh, what do you want to go to? Where do you want to work for? So these are all great. Um, so maybe for next week, I would love to that you think about what are you wanting to make for portfolio project, and then maybe you can make this mom. Yeah, if cooking is important, then show that. Or is if she's wise, maybe you can make her that she's yeah. she's telling something wise like this, or anything, or so. For next week, draw some poses that tells a bit more about her personality. So more poses. So let's look at Marta. Beautiful drawing. It's really great. Find an introvert, flower seller. Yeah, maybe it would be funny if you give her a bit more personality. Maybe making her smell at one of these flowers. So she's holding a flower. So she's doing something. So maybe she's smelling at the flower. So that I think that can help tell a bit more about the character. And because I think this is really great, but often it's a bit more interesting if you draw the character, then let her look that way or something. So that you do something like that. It makes it a bit more dynamic, at least that's what I think. So maybe something for that. Maybe she's waving or something. Maybe even in a static pose like this, you can think a bit more about um, what is he, yeah, what is he doing? So, what kind of pose can you give to tell a bit more story or something? So, yeah, it will be great to see some more poses next week where you try to do that a bit more, and maybe also I see this really straight lines, and maybe you can make it a bit more wrapping around those shapes a bit more. Also here, maybe you can make this a bit more round. Maybe some stuff like this, something. But great work. Would be great to see more of this character in more poses. Also, you have these a pose like this would be great for your portfolio or something. Maybe she's having lunch or something, and the flowers are here, and she's having lunch. That's great. Nice work, Marta. And yeah, Josh, ask yourself, what do you want to work for? Where do you want to work? Do you want to work at Cartoon Network or Pixar and make something for that? So, but your drawings were really nice. So now is Sunita. I hope I'm saying it correctly. So cool character. Um, would be cool if you try to draw this character in more 3D. So maybe make this character, then make this head like this, make this nose. Uh, this is funny, 'cause then, 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 'c then we have his head like this. And then maybe his neck, something like this. Maybe towel. Maybe I draw him a bit too thick, but maybe you can decide that. And then he's having his fingers like this. And here, scratch. Think of the ground in perspective a bit. Maybe I can make a short YouTube video about drawing a bit on the ground in perspective. So let's turn this one. So try to think in these shapes. So that will be your assignment for next week then. So try to draw your character in a 3/4 perspective. And it can be hard, but it's a great exercise. So then here this one ball, and there's a ball for his hips, and his legs are also here. These tubes here. So that will be great if you can try to do that next week. So draw in these more in these 3D shapes. Also here, you're also doing that here a bit more. Let's draw this head. Example. Draw this nose. And this shape. And here this mouth. So something like this. So think in these shapes again, what I'm already told a couple of times. So here, or here, or a cube. So yeah, great, Sunita. So first try to draw in a perspective like this, your character. And then you can try to draw some poses. But your first step will be something like this to draw it more from perspective. So then we go to Laura. Character description. And designs. Body designs. Great. Yeah, really cool line work, and I really like the sketchy thing. Maybe the next part is to make it a bit more. First, I think you could draw this character a bit more. It's really stiff. So maybe if you would add a bit more angles in your character, something like this. Then maybe one leg is a bit like this, and the other leg does a bit like that. And also think a bit of perspective, like this. This is fine. But then you maybe also have this. So if you have this head, maybe you can also give it a bit angle. So what I mean with that is to give your characters some angles, like here and here, here and here. So there's some stuff, and maybe you can make this her jacket that you see here. Maybe you can give that a bit of schwung. Doesn't have to be really, but it can give it a bit more energy. Maybe her hair is also a bit wavy like this. Maybe that would make it. Let me make a quick drawing of that. So also with you, what kind of style are you doing? Or is it more flat style or more maybe if she's looking this way and she's standing that way, because also some dynamic effect. And, she has short hair, then still can be a bit like this. And she has this scarf. Think how these things go over shoulders. But yeah, it's great work. See some. It's a bit of she's wearing these kind of things and sneakers. That's interesting. Is it from this day of age? Kid imagine. Oh, it's a kid that thinks it's Sherlock Holmes. Um, how old? 9 years old. Honestly, I was thinking that the kid was a bit older. So maybe if it's a kid, she would maybe the proportions would be a bit smaller. So maybe then she would a bit more building like. So then probably she would maybe have something more like this. So then make so think of the proportions. Here she looks more like maybe 17 or something. So think of the proportions. So but nice. Maybe for next week try to make her a bit more a child, and then try to come up with some cool poses. Maybe she's walking around the magnify glass or something, searching for a clue or something. And then think of the action line. And but your drawing's really great. It will be awesome to see some poses of you and to get a bit more flow in your drawings. But nice work, Laura. Um, what was Martin? Yeah, I always have difficult on character acting. Um, yeah, that's a bit hard. But Marta, I think if you, um, it's totally fine to use reference. So if you take this pose, so you can just find a good photo uh, on Pinterest or Google, then you can make her like this. I'm doing now really quickly. Then maybe she's holding her. Maybe she's having lunch, so she's holding a bowl, and they're eating with their hands in India, right? So maybe she's picking up some rice. Maybe she's eating. Maybe that would be funny to just take this photo and that she's eating some bowl of rice or something. Then you can use the same positioning of the feet. You can look how the clothing goes. This would be a perfect portfolio drawing. And then here there's that flower thing. It's interesting to show how does he eat, or maybe she sees someone there, or we see something in the distance, mystery man or something. I don't know. But you can use photos as a reference, totally fine, and tweak them a bit like she's eating while she's at lunch or something. And then the last one is Joe. I can put this one off. So, and it's Nova Banks. Neptune, Galactic Roller, Derby Jammer, personally helpful, friendly, bit naive, humanoid. Okay, cool. Did you also make the full body? I'm not. Yeah, cool. So I like that you start working with action lines of construction. So that's really great. Yeah, I would love to see um, which one you want to work to continue on. Um, so Galactic Roller personality helpful and friendly. Which one is the most friendly? Uh, this one is not really friendly. This one also. I think this one is the most friendly person. Impervious to cold. Yeah, I think this one also shows he's a bit naive and she's helpful and friendly. Yeah, and she could be strong. Maybe you can make that a bit in the pose. So maybe if you draw her and then draw her in a strong pose. So she's there. So if you draw the hand inside, it's often also strong, and maybe you can let her wave because that is friendly and can come over as naive. Um, so yeah, I would love to see some more poses next week where you continue with that, and also think where are you making it for? Are you making your own movie, or is there a studio you want to work for, or uh, yeah, and also think a bit about these eyes. And it's totally fine if yeah, that's your style or your thing, but maybe you can. So if this would be 3D-ish, then think how those eyes would be in that head. So something like this. So maybe. So then now it feels already a bit more um, on our head. You know what I mean? So think of the construction. Think in 3D a bit. So that one was the the last one. But I think this can be a really, really fun character. I really liked it. So this one's awesome. Keep it up. So I think that was everyone's homework. Um, are there some any questions? This time I did a bit more. I tried to focus more on giving the homework and everyone feedback. I wanted to try out that a bit. I think I will every week. I will have that a bit different. So one time I will be focusing on giving a lot of feedback. Another time I will focus more on giving lessons. And I think I will make a short YouTube video about construction next because that was feedback I was giving a lot. So thanks. So is the chat still working? Yeah. Um, so are there any more questions? Do you have tips on making your character younger? So you were Claudia. Which one was you? I think from the beginning, right? Here. So this one. So age, 15 or yeah. This one feels a bit more that she's I think 19 or something. So yeah, it would be a great lesson or something, or maybe a short tutorial. But I think the head looks a bit wider, big eyes. So maybe she's starting to look too young. But um, so uh, when you're a baby, your eyes and are all really close together. But when you're older, for example, if you're a full-grown woman, here you see these would here if you make a triangle, you see this triangle gets longer if you get older. So if you want to make the bit younger, push these things a bit more together. I think also the proportions. So if you draw the body, you can draw that a bit smaller. I think this is really young. I think this is a year of 8 or 6. I don't have any children or something, so I don't really know. So, but maybe you can look at the proportions from some animation movies. It would be great. So maybe it's great to look at Incredibles. So, yeah, I think here this one you can see this one. Maybe you see it's. I think she's 15 or something. But you can see big head and yeah, she has some growth things, growth spurts, and maybe here you drawn a bit too much breast or something. Maybe if you make this head already a bit bigger, you know, it's. But it would be great if you maybe you can for next week you can play around with that because I would also say she's 17 years old or something. Yeah, those are great jobs. I think they are I think a year of age, so that's a bit different. Maybe Riley from Inside Out, or maybe that kid is 12 years old. I think it's something. Yeah, or look at that, or look at those examples. So yeah, anyone another question? Yeah, um, it's always better to look for photo reference. And then, for example, what I was talking to for for Martha, I think in this case it's good because to just get a bit of the idea of the proportions and do it a bit different. It's also, I think it would be indeed best to look at 15-year old, then yeah, just Google and then look at how to do 15-year-olds. It's, yeah, I think it's way better to use a lot of Google to get that. It's also the same that that you, where was that? I think it was Marta. It's so much layers now here. But yeah, what I was doing here, that you take a photo and you change it more. So you're adding things to it, stuff like that. So I think that's a way to do it. And keep it as far that nobody can recognize it. So don't use the same clothes or stuff like that. It would be better to pose out yourself, to maybe see this photo and then ask a friend to sit in that and make a photo. But yeah, don't make something too much like Zootopia and stuff like that. But maybe if it looks like a bit like Disney or something, but you can show you're good at drawing, that really helps. Sometimes I get jobs and then they says, yeah, we were looking for someone who was really good at the Disney style, so we came at you. So sometimes it can work in your favor. Oh yeah, the homework for next week then is yeah, create some posters of your character that adds to the story and email it to this email address. So thanks everyone. I hope you liked this lesson. So I tried to do it a bit different this time with way more interaction and feedback. So yeah, I will see how I if I keep doing this or change it maybe or yeah, let me know if you like it. So and if you have any question, ask it in the Discord or in the Patreon page, and so I can use it. So thanks everyone, and hope to see you next week again. So later, bye. And then